Hey guys, it's Jsnow, another deck tech for you guys. I guess I call this not mono, red pump burn or black red pump burn or something like that. I don't really have a name for this deck at the moment. So there's a lot of glare on the screen, unfortunately, so I'll read out the cards so you guys will know what every card is. But this deck has a consistent turn 3 or 4 win, and even if you don't get your turn 3 or 4 win, there are ways to win anyways. And this deck's so explosive. I tested it on a bunch of decks. My brother pretty much rage quitted, which was pretty hilarious, and he said he will never face this deck ever again because it's just so OP. So I won't be playing it. Maybe I'll bring this deck to Friday Night Magic, I don't know. So let's go into what it has. So it has 1, 2, 3. Where's the fourth dude? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 creatures. And the first creature is Molten Soul Eater. He's a 2-cost artifact creature, and his ability is Phyrexian mana, so you can either pay 2 life or pay a red, and he gets +1 attack. So this is the bread and butter of the deck. This is what's going to be getting you your super fast turn kills, and you're going to run 4 of those, so we'll explain that once we go through all the cards. Our next card is kind of like, I guess, his big brother, Moltensteel Dragon. Pretty much does the same thing, but he costs more to get out, and he's a 4/4. But he's kind of like the same thing. This is for your late game. This is if you don't happen to get the win within 3 or 4 turns. Our next card is Generator Serpent. So this card is great. You can sacrifice him and then you add 2 colorless mana. And if you use that mana for a creature, the creature gets haste. So basically you would sacrifice this most of the time for Moltensteel Dragon. So we'll put those to the side. Let's go over the lands. Since the lands are pretty basic, I run 7 of each basic land. I have a couple of gain 1 life lands, which are pretty good because that can help you out just in case you take some damage early game. So I recommend any lands that can gain you life, or otherwise you can pretty much do this with basic lands. It's not that much of an issue. The shock lands aren't that great because you kind of need your life, but you could add them. So the lands are really up to you. You can basically just run this with just basic lands. Now the spells. So for spells we have Tainted Strike. And Tainted Strike is one of the game winners. Actually, a huge game. Actually, this is the one that got me both turn 3 wins. It's a 1-cost black, and target creature gets +1 in effect. So, of course, you're going to pump out this and use it to kill. So, we'll put that to the side. So, I run 4 of those. Fling. I actually never got to use this card. You basically sacrifice a creature, and then that creature deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's effect. Now, the problem with this card is usually you have to pay a lot of life. So it's usually not that worth it to use Fling. I mean, it is running the other variants of this deck, but I don't know. I might actually drop these because it doesn't seem like I'll ever use them. Because there's actually a card that replaces them that does better. So I'll put those to the side. 4 copies of duress. If you have money for Inquisition of Kozilek or whatever, that will also work pretty good. Basically any discard card, so you can get rid of any spells or anything that will block your way. You want a mulligan for this turn 1 if possible, because you don't want to, basically you want to have a wide field open, so getting rid of any answers to your deck first turn will be really good. So this is one of those cards you really need in your hand. Next card is Assault Strobe, and this card gives a creature double strike for 1 cost, so obviously you can just pump to 10 and deal damage. I'll put that to the side and explain it a little bit later. We run 4 of those. Rite of Consumption. This is an awesome card. I actually never got to use it yet, but basically you sacrifice a creature for black and colorless, and the creature does damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target player. And you gain life equal to the damage this way. So I'm not sure about the rulings. I have to look up the infect rulings because I'm not sure if you give, like, let's say you do this and Tainted Strike, I'm not sure if that counts as infect damage. It might, I'm not exactly sure. So I have to look that up. But if that is the case, then this comboed with Tainted Strike is pretty much a quick win, because you're only paying 10 health to get your immolating dude to 10, actually paying 9. Yeah, you're paying enough to get 9 damage, making him a 10, and then you use this with the infect, and then if that does work, then that does a lot of damage. That pretty much is game by effect. Infect, I mean. But I have to look that up because I'm not sure about the rulings. I run 1 smelt. This is because I don't have lightning bolts. I would definitely recommend if you have lightning bolts, pick them up. This just destroys target artifact for 1, just in case some kind of artifact gets in your way. Magma Spray. This is very good because it gets rid of most early game threats, and usually this deck only plays in the early game. Very rarely do you get to the late game. So being able to do 2 damage and exile anything that can block is super good. So I run 2 of these. I might switch out Smelt for another one. So that's really good. Apostle's Blessing. So in the original deck that's online, they run 4 of these. Most of the time I can usually get rid of their threats with duress. So Apostle's Blessing, while it does protect your creature, sometimes it's not needed, but it is a good card. You can run 2 to 4 of them. I run only 2. So you can basically pay life and 1 colorless, and you can play that card to protect your creature. I only have 1 lightning bolt. I would definitely recommend running more, because not only does this get rid of early game creatures, this can save you some life. So instead of paying 18 life to go for game, you can pay a lot less life by using lightning bolts instead. This is basically a replacement for a lightning bolt, shrapnel blast. It's not really that great. It does 5 damage if you sacrifice an artifact, but for the most part, this probably won't see that much play. I'm going to replace this with a lightning bolt as soon as possible. Our next and last card is an enchantment. Phyresis. We run 2 of these. Basically, it just gives creature infect. It's not as good as the Phyresis strike because tainted strike, because that gives it +1. But this one does stay since it's enchant, so you will keep infect. But it does cost a little bit more mana. Alright, so let's take out these 3 cards and let's explain the combos. Alright, so basically what you're doing, so the main combo is you draw your lands. So by turn 2 you should have at least 1 of each land on the field. And then you're basically playing Soul Eater. And Soul Eater, now depending on, you gotta make sure they have no blockers or anything. So you're either gonna pay enough life to boost this to 10 attack, and then play Tainted Strike, and then, or actually 9 attack, boost that to 9 attack, then Tainted Strike, swing, you win the game due to infect. So that's combo number 1. That's like the basic combo. The next one would be same thing with Phyresis, though you would have to pay a little bit more life. Same thing, just equip it to this guy. Phyresis, same thing. You could also do Assault Strobe, so you can actually get this to 10, so you pay enough to get this to 10 again. Play Assault Strobe, and then you attack for 20, you swing for 20. That's another way to win. And those are all the basic combos you do with this. So you can also mix up the cards. Like you can do Assault Strobe and pay a little bit less life, and then play Tainted Strike depending on your mana. But most of the time you're usually just using one of these 3 cards and then just swinging. So it's pretty crazy. Alright, the next thing. So this is what happens when you get to the late game, which usually doesn't happen. But if you do get to late game, basically what you're doing is you're playing Generator Servant. Should probably put it up because there's a lot of glare. Basically you want to sacrifice this and then play out Moltensteel Dragon. And since this has flying, sometimes you don't have to worry about blockers. So you play this, you sacrifice it, you get 2 mana, you pay 4 life, and then pay another 2 mana, and then you get this out. And then it's the same thing. You pretty much swing with this, you can pay life for some more attack, or you can just swing with, or you can just use some of the buffs to buff them up. So that's basically your late game card. It's kind of self-explanatory. So same exact combos with the other dude, just it's more life and late game. Alright, so side deck. So side deck, there really isn't that much. There wasn't even a side deck for the original deck. So I tried to come up with some kind of side deck. It's not really that great though. So you could run Blood Crypt, though this does cost 2 life. So this is just one of those lands if you want to get to your lands even faster, but you will sacrifice 2 life, and life is pretty important, so this could be, what do you call it? Can't think of the word right now. Whatever, it could affect the deck in a negative way, we'll just say that. Victim of the Night is a 2 black mana. Destroy card, destroy target non-vampire, werewolf, non-zombie creature. You can also do other cards like Ultimate Price. I think I had that. Yeah, like Ultimate Price, or any 2-cost removal card will be good in the side deck, just in case. Gut Shot. Yeah, you could pay it for life. It does deal only 1 damage. Could help you swing for game, but otherwise it's just a random sideboard card. I don't know if I would actually recommend this card. Goo Crawler's Chant, or any card that costs 1 mana and you can return a creature from your graveyard. So just in case you need to get your one of your elemental, let's say you need to get like your elemental back, which would be pretty good, or anything like that, this card will get you one of those back. And then the last card, which is Obnixis, I kind of just threw this in just in case you do get to the late game. This could help, as you can draw cards and destroy creatures. So it could help in the late game, but most likely you're not going to see the late game with this deck. It's just that explosive. So thanks for watching this deck tech. I'll just go through the cards. Feel free to rate the video. Some likes would be nice. And you can subscribe for more. We got a lot of Magic the Gathering openings. And as I test decks, I'll post deck techs once I know the decks work. So of course this deck definitely worked. The amount of salt gained from this deck was absolutely hilarious. So it's definitely a fun rage deck. So thanks for watching. Leave that rating. Feel free to subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.